But Yeshua observant, that's Jesus's name in Hebrew.
Mm-hmm.
And it doesn't just mean God's my salvation, it means God is now my salvation. Then to call him Yeshua means God is now my salvation.
Present tense Jesus versus future tense Jesus produces completely different kinds of followers.
Right.
Followers focused on the kingdom now, as opposed to whatever now. We find substitutes for the kingdom now. Give us a quick update on your ministry, and then let's jump into the passage. So tell us the name of your ministry and what some of the stuff you guys do.
Yeah, so we are the Wild Branch Ministry, and we chose that name because we're the grafted vine. Romans 11:17, at least the second half of the verse. And you are the wild branch I'm going to cry, from a wild olive tree, and are grafted in, cultivated, and have become equal sharers in the rich root of the olive tree. And I get emotional about it because I just sense God's anointing on it. He's called us back to plug into the branch, the root of Israel, not modern Judaism. That's totally different, but to what was 1800 years ago, before Constantine. It was one new branch. And of course, Jeremiah and Ezekiel and Isaiah, they talk about the two sticks coming together in his hand. I may not have any Jewish or Israelite heritage, but he adopted me as his very own. Doesn't matter what my heritage is. Thank God.
Yeah. Well, that's funny because you mentioned the reference Dr. Steve Todd, and we talked about that passage in Ephesians, which is the two, I think is another iteration of the idea of the two becoming one, merging in one branch, where Jew and Gentile. The Gentile church has amputated its Jewish brothers and sisters and denuded the gospel by taking Israel out of it, taking Judaism out of it.
Like Andy Stanley has gone so far as to say, you don't even need to read the Old Testament. It's not even important. Reject the Old Testament. His father's probably rolling in his grave.
It's dispensationalism.
You don't even know what the New Testament means.
Without the Old Testament, it's dispensationalism on steroids. God only does a certain thing at a certain time. Therefore, what he did before, i.e., the Old Testament, is no longer even relevant. And that's one of the ugliest versions of separating off the people of God. Does that, by definition, mean you're totally into the modern nation of Israel and you have to support it, or is that a separate issue entirely?
I think to some degree it's separate. The modern nation of Israel is an attempt by God to reestablish, the people in the land. And so I am very supportive of Israel. I have friends who live in Israel, and Jewish Israeli friends. So I'm really supportive of it. But to me, being Yeshua observant is I'm embracing the Torah, as Paul said, we're to follow the spirit of the law, not the letter of the law. The letter brings death. The letter, if you follow the letter, it brings death. And all it does is point out that we're sinners.
Yeah, become fully aware of how screwed up you are, as opposed to fully aware of the life that the Spirit brings, which is transforming us.
Right. Exactly. But Torah doesn't mean law. It means instructions.
Yeah.
Now, the law is in the Torah, but it means to have instructions. You could have a device in your home. You could buy a brand new, I don't even know what people use these, a new laptop. You could ignore the instructions if you want to, but eventually you're going to get them out because you need to figure out how to get through the operating system, or how to plug in the power supply or a hard drive, external hard drive. So you need the instructions. It's not law. You could run your computer and just guess your way through it if you want to. But how much better is it?
It's very helpful, however.
Refer to the owner's manual. Yeah.
Which includes the Old Testament. Yeah.
He said himself, I've not come to abolish the law. I've come to fulfill it. And fulfill can mean teach you how to live it correctly.
And the one who does abolish it will be least in the kingdom. You can still get in,
right?
But man, you're operating the laptop with very little helpful information. What Alice Willard says is the 10 Commandments could lead you to Christ, because just by attempting to live the Torah live God's way, you can't do it without his help. And as you partner with God, you begin to understand who God is and interact with God. And just a different view of the purpose of the law, as opposed to that thing back there that, thank goodness, we don't have to do anymore. Well, let's talk about the flood. That's our topic today. And so we're covering chapters 6 through 9 of Genesis.
Yeah, chapter 6 is powerful. It's full of amazing stuff to me. I get so excited reading through it. In the time when men began to multiply on the earth, the daughters were born to them. The sons of God, now this is a mystery from a New Testament point of view. We don't understand some of the context, but when I explain a little bit, then suddenly everything makes a lot more sense. The sons of God saw the daughters of men were attractive, and they took wives for themselves, whomever they choose. And the Lord said, my spirit will not live in human beings forever, for they too are flesh. Therefore, their lifespan will be 120 years. And then it says in verse 4, the Nephilim were on the earth in those days. Now, the Septuagint refers to them as gigantes, the Greek word gigantes, but what's that?
Giants.
Yeah, we translate it as giants, but gigantes can mean more than just giant in physical stature. It just means men of renown, great ones. The Hebrew for that is Nephilim. So it's assumed that it always referred to gigantic stature, but that's not necessarily it. It just means those were endowed with some unusual talents and abilities that are beyond those of mortal men, literally. And so the sons of God came to the daughters of men. They bore children to them. And these are the ancient heroes, men of renown, Giborim, mighty men. And then we see that theme repeated even through the stories of Nimrod. Nimrod, yeah.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, Nimrod. And it says that he became a mighty man. And it says, and in some translations, it says he became a hunter of men. And that some interpret that as that he had Nephilim DNA in his body. And so that's why he became a great warrior hunting men and wanted to build the city of Babylon, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. The story goes on from there.